Rockies fans, welcome into the Locked On Rockies podcast for July the 8th, a Thursday in the year 2021. I am your host of the Locked On Rockies podcast, Paul Holden, bringing you daily news, analysis, comments, breakdowns, whatever you want to call it, here on the Locked On Rockies podcast, proudly part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode of the Locked On Rockies podcast is brought to you by Locked On MLB Prospects. It's MLB draft season, and the Locked On MLB Prospects podcast is covering every future star of the MLB. Host Aram Layton brings you player interviews and farm system breakdowns every day. Subscribe to Locked On MLB Prospects on the Odyssey app or wherever you get podcasts. Today on the Locked On Rockies podcast, we are going to talk Home Run Derby, the excitement level for that, some of the news circulating, some of the reports, sources, Twitter takes on the front office of the Rockies and the GM search. Plus, we'll also look a little bit at another disappointing road loss for the team. Let's start there. Let's start with the Rockies dropping another road series. It is now July the 8th, and the Rockies have not won a series on the road. At all. Not one. And they're playing against a team that set their own record for losing streaks, a team that has not won more than 30 games, a team that has been the worst team in baseball since mid-May, the Arizona Diamondbacks. They've been able to jump early on starters, build a lead, then the offense has a little bit of life, but far too late. This is disappointment. This is yet another reason to not buy into the smokescreen, like I said yesterday. If you needed further proof that this team needs to be sellers at the deadline, needs to make changes in its entire structure from the roster down to or up to the front office, I don't know what is. This is a reality check for the Rockies this series. You go 6-1 against the Pirates and the Cardinals. A great week of baseball at home has turned to yet another losing road trip so far. And it's hard not to believe that it will remain a losing road trip because the Rockies have to then go to San Diego after this and see if they can win on the road there. It's kind of unbelievable, to be totally honest. Going for some of the numbers here, the last time the Diamondbacks won consecutive games was May 10th and 11th when they beat the Marlins in back-to-back games. They technically now have a winning streak against the Rockies, and the Diamondbacks didn't send up an ace. They sent up a new pitcher there in Castellanos. He had 4 good innings there, and the Rockies couldn't take advantage of a young pitcher. They couldn't take advantage of the Diamondbacks team that had to dip into the bullpen there and add some stuff. They had some life there early, being able to capitalizing on errors in the 8th. But you shouldn't have to rely on the opponent to make errors for you to put yourself in a position to win baseball games, especially when you're playing a team like the Diamondbacks. Reminder that this has been the worst team in baseball since about mid-May. The Diamondbacks have won 12 less games than the Rockies. They are 30 games back of the NL West lead. Castellanos, first start for Arizona. He's had 6 relief appearances. So I feel like I saw the name before, but so he gets his first start, throws 4 shutout innings, 4 hits, and then the Rockies weren't able to capitalize. I mean, they weren't able to do much until the 8th. Ryan McMahon had the 3 hits for Colorado, 2 for 7 with runners in scoring position for the team. It's not going to win you ball games. And I just don't know. I mean, I'm not going to spend forever on this point, but this is what you're reminded of when you hear storylines about the Rockies, when you see reports, when you get what looks like momentum, and then it turns into this. It's disappointing. This is a terribly disappointing outcome for the Rockies. You follow up a walk-off hit by a pitch walk-off the night before with getting down early and having things get blown up late. I don't know. It's not just the pitching. The hitting has not been great in Arizona, but the Rockies have scored 7 runs on the road in a road series. It's something they don't usually score a ton of runs on the road, especially multiple runs on the road. But just tough. Just tough. Don't quite know really all what to say about it. It's just, I don't know. Lucas Gilbreth still needs some life there. The Rockies need to at least keep trying it for this year, I think, with Gilbreth and see what they have, though he has struggled mightily this year as a relief pitcher for the Rockies. And in his performance yesterday, not a third of an inning pitched with 1 hit, 2 earned runs, and 1 walk. I mean, the walks are the big thing, but the Rockies only walked 2 batters last night. That is something that they did do well on. They limited their walks. However, just no offense, even though they were able to get 10 hits. So there is offense. The offense can hit on the road, but it's just they haven't strung together innings. They haven't strung together big hits on the road. It is almost as if some cloud forms and just sucks up all of the consistency of the Rockies as soon as they leave the confines of 20th and Blake. Because if you get the team that was playing at home this past week, the Rockies have won 2 out of 3 games in this series. Haven't seen that. But that's not just to say that's not just on the offense. When the offense does, hit 10 hits in the game, scores a few runs, starting pitching does need to be better. We've seen better from John Gray and Senzatella. These aren't their best performances, but they don't put you in the biggest holes, especially when they bounce back the way that they both did. Rough early parts of the game, settled down, and they were able to limit the damage that was done in 1 inning. John Gray sets 10 in a row down next. Senza has a good a couple of innings after. That's when the comebacks need to happen sooner, and the Rockies need to score with runners in scoring position. They desperately need that big hit. They have not gotten the big hit, especially on the road. So July 8th, and the Rockies still have not won a road series. I don't know what to do to make the Rocky. I'm not part of the team. I have no mojo booster that I can think of off the top of my head that will help. But a little day game action today, if they can at least salvage the series, you really don't want to be swept by the Diamondbacks. Just really, really, that just can't happen. Shouldn't have happened against the Pirates earlier in the year. The Rockies cannot be getting swept by this caliber of team. They can't be get swept like this and then keep the mentality that the Rockies have. And we're going to dive into that mentality here. But before we get to that, got to tell you about Fully Loaded Chew. Today's episode is brought to you in part by Fully Loaded Chew. Fully Loaded Chew is tobacco-free, long cut, and pouches that give you the same pack, dip, spit, and buzz you're used to without tobacco. Available in 9 flavors, Fully Loaded Chew is made with all food-grade ingredients and tobacco-free nicotine, the purest form of nicotine available. It's the only moist nicotine pouch on the market. All other nicotine pouches are dry white pouches. Nothing dips, spits, and packs like Fully Loaded. Try it out if you're looking to mix it up. Tobacco-free nicotine. That's the big thing that Fully Loaded Chew wants you to know. This is tobacco-free nicotine, and it's the purest form of nicotine available. And Fully Loaded Chew is offering Locked On Rockies listeners a special offer. Right now, you can try a can for just $1. That's right, just $1. Go to fullyloadedchew.com and use promo code LOCKEDON. Just $1 and free shipping if you use the code LOCKEDON at checkout. The next time you go for a dip, make it Fully Loaded Chew. fullyloadedchew.com. Also, make sure your car is in tip-top shape as we are in the high point of the summer. You want to make sure that you can continue to hit the road all summer long into the fall and be ready for the winter. And rockauto.com will take great care of you. Save time and money when using Rock Auto. Rock Auto is a family business serving do-it-yourselfers for over 20 years. Rock Auto prices are reliably low for every customer, and they have everything you could ever need: brake parts, tail lamps, light bulbs, hitches, all that great stuff, all available at Rock Auto. Go explore their easy-to-use website today and find the solution to your auto parts needs. Go to rockauto.com right now and see all the parts available for your car or truck. Right, Locked On in their How Did You Hear About Us box, so they know that we sent you. Right, remember, Locked On in their How Did You Hear About Us box on rockauto.com. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. rockauto.com. Rockies are like a car. Most teams are. You have many different pieces that have to work together in order to succeed. And at maybe the electronics, maybe the steering wheel and the accelerators, I'm going to say that seems about right. Accelerator and brakes. It's kind of the front office of the team. And if the Rockies were a car, all of those pieces associated with the front office wouldn't work, wouldn't be there, or they'd be a knockoff piece or just a quick replacement piece. And the Rockies seem to be turning to their quick replacement piece in the form of Interim GM. There was a tweet today saying that the Rockies may have already made their choice in the GM department with Bill Schmidt. And now these aren't confirmed. The Rockies have not made anything. This is just what we've heard from Patrick Saunders. He talked with Rockies president Greg Fiesel yesterday, and he got the sense that interim GM Bill Schmidt is a strong candidate to be the permanent GM, and that spurred a lot of talk amongst Rockies fans about that move. And again, Patrick's not confirming anything or saying, he doesn't know for sure. This is just the feeling that he got after talking to the Rockies president yesterday. But it makes total sense, right? This is a complete Rockies move. It doesn't make sense in terms of the direction you want the team to go, but this is what the Rockies do. This is what was to be expected. When the Rockies appointed a longtime member of the organization to be the GM, you kind of got the sense that they're going to tell us they're looking outside the organization. But what does Dick Monfort love to do? What is Dick Monfort if he's not loyal to the T? He would love nothing more than to bring another person up through the ranks to run the Colorado Rockies. That's what he's done every time. Why change it? Why do anything different? The product on the field doesn't influence Dick Monfort the way it does the views of fans, the views of other teams and how they approach it. He is probably blinded still. If he focuses on that home record and the butts in the seats and the ticket sales and the performance of the team there. Why change anything? Why rock the boat when he has this guy that he's had for forever be his guy? This is exactly the type of move that Dick Monfort would do. He's got the relationship. He's worked with Bridich. He's done all of this stuff. He says he's been playing catch up. He's had to do all this stuff. I haven't heard a lot about Schmidt other than the fact that no trade talks going on right now. I don't know. I'm at a loss. We, as Rockies fans, are used to this. We're used to the front office and the ownership of the team just being in a different direction, being in a different mindset than the team and the people that follow the teams. It's just so this was a chance. I just don't see how the Rockies didn't view this moment of a drastic change in direction of team. But I don't know. Again, this is all speculation. That's what's disappointing about it the most is that I know that there's creative minds in baseball out there that want to come and make this team successful. There is something special about the Rockies. There is something to take away from the home performance of the team this year. I mean, you can't deny that. It is crazy. It's unprecedented. The splits, it's insane. There's no explanation. But if you're going to take a positive, if you're going to focus on something that the Rockies do well, yes, you're going to look at their play at home. Is it a confidence thing? Is it something about them just having that ballpark and knowing the quirks of it? I just feel like if you're able to take some of the pieces of the Rockies front office and the organization that have been putting in the work that deserve to be there, which there are, because there's a ton of people that are involved. Can't give you names off the top of my head because they're missing pieces. People have been leaving as well. But why not bring in a fresh set of eyes? Why not bring in a fresh perspective? Why not bring in someone from outside of the organization that has seen something, that has followed the team? Because if they're interested enough in being the GM, they're not just going to come out of nowhere and say they haven't followed the Rockies at all. Maybe they haven't followed them to the T, but you're not going to be interested in joining the team in that capacity without developing a plan to make the Rockies a contender again. There is a plan. We've seen success in Colorado. We've seen playoff Rockies teams. Those couple of playoff years every now and then are good enough for Dick Monfort to trust the people that he's kept in his organization this whole time. However, where is the creativity in that? Where is the imagination? Where is the revolution? Honestly, I don't know. The evolution, that's the better word, not revolution, but maybe revolution. I don't know. But how do you evolve if you've been taking the same approach and you get down on yourself about this mentality? I'm going back and reading an AP report from May when Bill Schmidt was hired, and he gave a quote. Let me read here from Rockies interim GM would like to be full-time GM. Obviously, Schmidt's interested in the job. That's another part of the looking into Saunders' tweet and what we have of that. But here's what we have in the end. Despite the downward direction, Schmidt wouldn't say the franchise is in a rebuilding stage and stressed that the organization has always developed players instead of making big free agent signings. That's who we are, he said. We're going to rely on the majority of our players are going to be acquired through the draft. We've done it a little bit, the free agent part, but a majority of our players are going to come through the draft and internationally. Internationally excites me. Drafting, where are the Rockies' top picks? Where are all those pitchers they've drafted? If I'm not mistaken, another number one pick just retired from baseball. I believe Brendan Rodgers is the only number one pick of the Rockies in the past 4 or 5 years that is on the roster and has played ball above AA. Yes, they have developed players in the past. Not Jeff Bridich, not Bill Schmidt. Now, Bill Schmidt's been involved in that with scouting and things like that. But Bridich doesn't get any credit for, in my opinion, doesn't get credit for developing Nolan, doesn't get credit for developing Trevor Story, doesn't get credit for developing any of those people that Dan O'Dowd set up right before he stepped down. This development has worked in the past for the Rockies, but to go, woe is me, and we can't get free agent signings. I will never believe that. I don't believe that whatsoever. I believe it for pitchers, but I don't believe that the Rockies cannot entice people to come play at Coors Field. I don't believe it. You couldn't get a free agent first baseman, one that actually plays the position when the rest of the infield is fielded by Nolan, Trevor Story, and DJ LeMahieu. Get out of here. Get out of here. You couldn't get people to come play in the infield with Nolan and Trevor Story the other 2 years. Not a chance. You went cheap. You didn't even go cheap with Daniel Murphy. Could have gotten DJ LeMahieu for the same deal. That's what's frustrating about continuing with the status quo. I want the Rockies to bring in someone from the outside because Dick Monfort needs a different perspective. He needs someone that he hasn't heard from for years. He needs new blood. How can you excite and energize Rockies fans that are so disappointed after the trade, after the performance of the team this year on the road, especially? There's enough Rockies fans that, we only watch the Rockies at home, so it's great for us. I mean, I know they exist. That's fine for them. Not for people like me. Not for people that watch the team every day. It's disheartening. The Rockies need to get creative. They have a creative and unique situation that surrounds them, and they should bring in creative and unique people that will do cool things. And those people do exist. Where? I don't know. Listen, I'm still getting into this whole hosting thing. I don't know every answer for you, but I can sit there and safely say that by just looking into your organization for your new GM after the last GM drastically changed the course of the history of the direction of the franchise and then walked away, kind of would make me want to look outside and go to somewhere else. Because there's way more that happened between Bridich and Monfort that we don't know about and never will. And that is disappointing and upsetting for me as a Rockies fan. Again, all speculation. The Rockies haven't said anything. I'm sure when they're asked about any of this, it's just going to be the process is ongoing. We like what Bill Schmidt's been doing as the interim GM, yada, yada, yada. But would it surprise me whatsoever if Bill Schmidt goes from interim GM to full-time GM? Not in the slightest. And don't you think that Dick Monfort isn't completely okay with that, because that's what he does. And that's how he approaches stuff like this. It's disappointing, but we move on. We see what the Rockies do next, and we look forward to the next game in the future, hopefully, which could be a bright one. And again, Bill Schmidt has plenty of time to prove his things. It's just disappointing that the Rockies didn't at least seem to go out and do something. Or at least aren't approaching people, if that's the case, from just what we're hearing from speculation. I hope the Rockies look outside the organization. I truly do. Okay, last thing, we're going to brighten up the mood. I'm going to talk about how excited I am for the Home Run Derby and a little bit of the fun news that came out about the Derby today. But before I get to that, I got to tell you about Bet Online, the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your sports action. Baseball season is in full swing, and you can track all the action at Bet Online. And why not get all the latest news, odds, and info for all your sporting needs? That includes Major League Baseball and the NBA, the NHL, and all your MMA, UFC action. Obviously, the NHL wrapped up, but that's all right. Plenty of time to still get in on the NBA Finals and all the good baseball action. Before the next pitch between the Rockies and the Diamondbacks, head over to Bet Online on your laptop or mobile device and check out all the great sporting news, sign-up bonuses, and contest information. Don't sit on the sidelines anymore, as this is your chance to get into the game as teams prep for their runs to the playoffs and go through the second half of the season. Head to the website, use your mobile device, and sign up today for 50% on your welcome bonus when you use the Locked On promo code. That's at Bet Online. Bet Online, your online sportsbook experts. Okay, last thing on the show today. I cannot wait for the Home Run Derby. I am so excited. What the Rockies what they announced today is that the balls not only are going to be juiced, they're not putting them in the humidor. I love it. I think the baseball is going to be flying on Monday night. I think it's going to be a blast. I think it's going to be a beautiful night, too. I cannot wait. I'm really mad I didn't pull the trigger on those tickets when I had the chance to. But alas, this should be fun. Trevor Story has a tough matchup, though. Joey Gallo man, there's so many people that can hit home runs. I mean, this is such a loaded lineup. You wanted a couple of the other big names, but you got a lot of the big home run hitters in the league right now. And to be honest, as much as it's kind of a bummer that Story's going up against Gallo there in the first round, I think that's still a good matchup. I'm going to go ahead. And just because I'm a little, I'm going to go dive into the hometown bias a little bit. I think making Trevor Story, just because of his home run numbers, I think making him the 7 seed, I think it's sleeping on him a little bit. I think Trevor Story is going to put on a show. I think he's the dark horse to win this thing. I think he is going to do some special stuff, but he's going to have to compete with Ohtani. And I mean, of course, that dude's going to be launching baseballs all over the place. We're going to see a 600-foot home run. That's the thing. We're going to see a 600-foot home run, and it's going to rock. But I don't know. Not only am I excited, I truly believe in my heart of hearts that Trevor Story is going to do really well at the Home Run Derby. And I think it's going to be the highlight of All-Star Weekend. I think it's going to be the best. But it's going to be tough. I mean, there are some sluggers. I cannot wait. I'm getting the chance to hopefully watch Ohtani bat or live here when they roll through Seattle. Very, very excited for that. Okay. Let's see. That's going to do it for the show, actually. I really just wanted to say how excited I am at the fact that they said, hey, let's just let the baseball fly. I think it's going to be a ton of fun for fans out there today or at next week at the All-Star game. I'm excited that it's going to be in Coors Field. Fans out there that are visiting are going to love it. They're going to have a blast, but the Home Run Derby is going to be an absolute treat. Rockies, Diamondbacks getting into it here in just a little bit as we are recording just ahead of first pitch. The Rockies look to avoid the sweep against the Diamondbacks. Their first pitch coming up here in like about less than 20 minutes after recording. So I'm going to try and get this up and ready for you all to listen to ahead of the game as we get ready for it. But thank you all so much for listening to this episode of the Locked On Rockies podcast. We'll be back tomorrow with more Rockies coverage. And before I go, today on the Locked On Today podcast, what is the game plan for the Phoenix Suns in Game 2 against the Milwaukee Bucks? Get more of the sports news you need in less time with the Locked On Today podcast. Follow the Locked On Today podcast on the Odyssey app or wherever you get podcasts. Rockies fans, let's hope for a win today. We'll be back, like I said, tomorrow breaking things down. We're going to go over the series with Miller Thomas of Locked On Diamondbacks tomorrow. We'll do a little crossover action with that. In the meantime, I am Paul Holden saying so long from the Locked On Rockies podcast.